Pleasant good morning, one and all. Pleasant good old year's day. Good morning, and welcome to the last episode of Speaking Out Expo. Last episode for 2025. Speaking Out Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Today is Wednesday, the 31st day of December, the last day in the year, Old Year's Day, as we Guyanese would say. Other parts they will say New Year's Eve, but we call it Old Year's Day. And so welcome everyone to this last episode. I think this is the 138th episode for the year. And welcome, we have made it. So let's give praise and thanks. Today is another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It is a privilege to be in the land of the living. It is a privilege to have been allowed to reach this thus far to see the last day of the year. Because many people will not see the first day of the new year. That's the sad reality. So those of us who are here, give praise, give thanks always. Give praise and give thanks always. Today, there are so many things to discuss today, but as Old Year's Day, we have decided what we're going to do. We're going to deal with some of the early in the program, we're going to deal with some of the pressing issues. And then later on, maybe we'll try to lighten it up as we reflect on some of the things that have happened during the year and as we look forward to a brand new year. But you know what they say about putting new wine in old cast or sheepskin? We're going to discuss these things. We're going to discuss. My colleague CC is in the studio awaiting his opportunity to come and bring you credible, valuable information. This morning, program scheduled at 8 o'clock. And immediately the students, I got to compliment you students who are always there at the gate very early to get into the schoolyard and to do what children do in the schoolyard. And then when the school doors are open, then to see all those large numbers. So yes, again, today is a day, as I said, the last day in the year, and we're going to discuss some traditions and so on, what occurs on this last day in the year in Guyana and elsewhere. So welcome, and I invite you to share the live and let people know that we are here. Now, a good way to start, and we're gonna, let me go a little further. Then later on, perhaps we will offer a prayer. I have a prayer to play for those of us who are on. So let me allow for, we've just passed 400. Let me allow for more students to get in, and then we're gonna do that. In the meanwhile, let's do the roll call as we would normally do. The students who came in early, then we're gonna make announcements, and perhaps after that, the numbers would have built up, and we'll get an opportunity to pray. And we go to pray. Prayers move mountain. Prayers move mountain. Prayers eliminate corruptions as well. Prayers eliminate corruption. We got to pray that the corruption, the stench of corruption, but not only the stench, because actual corruption in our beautiful country, Guyana, that the Almighty puts his hands on these corrupt people and get rid of them one way or the other, either by removing them from office or calling them to come to answer for their sins. Right. So yeah, we're gonna pray. Well, let me in terms of the roll call, 8 o'clock schedule, Mark come down from the hills very early. Ballad from the hills. And I urge you, my brother, to be extremely careful, because as we would discuss, as we would mention a little later, in the within 12 hours in Linden, where Barlet comes from. Two murders. We're going to talk about that. Then after Barlet, it listed here is Danny. After Danny is Anthony Bradshaw, Peters Hall from the East Bank of Demerara. Then Janella Price, she is from Baron. She is a Baronian. Sandra is here. Orly Carl. Then it was Joy. Peter is here. Aubrey, all the way from Canada, where I understand it is extremely cold. Ezzy, Aileen is here with us. Felicia, they all came in at 8 o'clock. And then shortly thereafter, we had Brian, Han, Clarence Kerry from somewhere in Guyana. Clifton from Paris. Sandra is here with us. Ivor, a regular student. Winston from California. Lucius Ian from Guyana. Marlon, another Baronian, is here. Then it was Edward, came in early on the tube, came in early in the school. Yeah, then he can come back a little later. Courtney, Clive from the UK is here with us as well. Ricky Smith, Sean came early, and then we get Gavin. Jakey is here. Let me go and see the ones who came into the school itself when the doors were open. When the doors were open, the first man listed there is Charles. So he double dipping. He come and he double dipping. Then it was Colvis. After that, it was Mark, Joan from New Amsterdam, Norville. Then it was Rigby. Joan, I guess, is Joan Rigby. Lennox is here. Brandy, Junior, Rudolph, and the list goes on and on and on. Rhonda, then I'm still in the house, came in early as well. So yes, welcome to all of you students. Welcome, one and all. Now, let me make some announcements. Just to remind you, 656 days since Sergeant Vaughan was killed, 666 days. Another year is ending, and his family still waiting for closure, still waiting for an update from the police. And in terms of death, we told you about some, but the funeral arrangements are sometime in the near future. So we will wait on the next episode to tell you about the update on those. Because we don't have any funeral between now and the next program according to what we have listed. But as I've said, so we have that. But let me go to the happier, more pleasant announcements. Then we're gonna come back to these murders that occurred within the past 24 hours or so. Today is the birth anniversary of retired Assistant Commissioner David Larry George. Larry George is observing a natal day today. Everybody knows he is Larry, but his correct name is David Lauren George. I know it well. My squad mate at the FBI. So David is observing his birthday today. Also observing a natal day today is another regular. Eric Kamabaj, 8218 Kamabaj is observing. I think he's holidaying in Guyana. Then we have also Lyndon Cornbread Johnson. He too is a former member. You remember Lyndon back in the day? I would have been a constable then, so it would have been back in 1975-76 when he joined. He used to be at the special branch as a driver. And then National Development had a program in Sophia. And we used to be hanging there together. My good friend then, Lyndon Johnson, from the famous Johnson family from Border Market. His mother had a very popular stall there. So Lyndon is observing his birth anniversary today. Also observing his birth anniversary today is another former member, Mark Simon. Mark Simon, I think he's a nephew, of Emerson Simon. Older policemen would remember Emerson Simon, traffic police training school. When I was a trainee in 1974, Emerson was the commandant of the college. Then he went to National Development. Yeah, so those forces are celebrating today. Then we have tomorrow, the first day in the year, our good friend Cecil Semple, former member, used to be at CID, a photographer. Then he was the manager of the police consumers, and a lot of talent. Used to be the judge on Calypso competitions in Guyana. So Cecil is a man of talent. He is observing us tomorrow. Also for another former member, Orby Mingo. Orby was a CID man, brother of the late Lenny Hudson, retired assistant commissioner. West Coast, Orby's man. So Orby's observing tomorrow too. And another, I think he's a student, former member of the Guyana Defense Force, Malcolm Arapal. Some will say the controversial Malcolm Arapal. You know, he's very outspoken, speaks out against the corruption in the government. And, you know, Malcolm was a strong PPP man when Jagan was there. Strong PPP. When PPP came into power in 1992, he was one of the core members And I remember he wrote an article, I have it somewhere, where he said that when Gajraj was appointed Minister of Home Affairs, shortly after the PPP came into government, or sometime then, or might have been before Gajraj became Home Affairs Minister, he was approached, Malcolm Paul, because he has expertise in security. He was approached to make recommendations as to how Chedi Jagan should deal with the security architecture of Guyana. And Malcolm wrote, I have the letter, and Malcolm republishes it from time to time. He said he recommended to them. He said, look, I don't know his Paul Slow politics, but I know Paul Slow is a professional. And I would recommend that Paul Slow take over as Commissioner of Police. At the same time, I think he recommended that George Gomes take over as Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force. So Malcolm was that close to them. And then they fell out, and Malcolm started to be, I guess he recognized how corrupt they were, and then he started to talk out against them. And then they dragged him before the court, how he trying to incite racial hostility. He made some comment about the border controversy. Basically, I think he said that the same PPP supporters should go and to fight Venezuela. They didn't like that. They put him before the court, cybercrime charge. It was only recently dismissed. So Malcolm is observing a natal day tomorrow. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate all those who are celebrating today, Larry and Kowo and all of these people, and those who are going to be celebrating in the near future. So all the best. I hope that the good Lord gives you the health strength to continue long from now, to continue to go around the sun, as we see. So yes, welcome. That is in terms of the announcement. Now, I promised for us to, before I bring in let me bring in CC, and then we're going to do a little prayer. Let me bring CC in for him to make his welcome, and then we're going to do a little prayer. CC, welcome, my brother. Welcome.
Good morning. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. Today is the last day of the year, and we're happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. Right to issues. Congratulations to Eric Kamabaj. Hope I catch up with you shortly. Cecil Semple also. And I want to shout out to a guy who returned to Guyana recently to live permanently, Gavin. His father was a policeman, I think Stanley Isaacs. He retired as a chief inspector. And Gavin is an ardent student. He doesn't miss our program. Even when he overseas, he doesn't miss our program. Back in Guyana, and he continued to listen, to contribute to our program. And also to his brother Keith, his lovely wife and his daughter. They came back to Guyana to spend the holiday, and I think they're going back very shortly to return to reside permanently. Larry George, happy birthday. And I know we had some good times. Remember when he and Larry Lewis weren't on good terms? Larry Lewis transferred him to the training school there. And he said, Larry George is talking enough. So give him a deputy who don't talk plenty, and they're going to get conflict. So he transferred me as Larry's deputy, and we became strong. We surprised Larry Lewis. We became strong. The brotherhood was very, very, very strong. So that is it for Larry George. And today is a special day. Today is my son's birthday, Kepler birthday. And I want to tell you a story about his birth, about his genesis. And I have my wife's permission to talk this story. I remember the break of the year when Kepler was born. My wife said, hey, I don't get my daughter Kim already, and this year mustn't pass me until I get my son. So what she did, she embarked on a project, a production project far better than Gaisuku. And she pulled me in as the sole employee. and she started to create some productive activity. It was challenging for me, but I was fit for purpose. And then after a while, I watch her there. I said, girl, I watch her, see the twinkle in her eyes. I said, girl, you looking good. You looking funny. You looking like yourself. She said, you're right. You're right. Because it's not me alone. It's me and your son. I get pregnant for your son. And your son, there in my belly, your son coming. And she was so strategic that she came in the last day of the year. The last day of the year, she delivered. And not only that, West Indies were playing cricket down under, and they were doing well, far better than those who went to New Zealand. And they had a South African who was playing for Australia named Kepler Wessel. And Kepler Wessel was doing excellent against West Indies. I think he scored over 500 runs in the series and an average of over 50. And she named my son, instead of naming him after some West Indian, she named him after Kepler Wessel. So he became Kepler. I know that she named him Kepler Clinton Conway. And then when we go to get a birth certificate, we discover that instead of the people wrote Clinton, they wrote Clenton. And we didn't contest it. So we left it at that. And she didn't stop there with her son, because she said that her daughter came, we had programmed her to go to Bishop High School, and she went to Bishop High School. So we wanted Kepler to go to QC. But he disappointed us. He got St. Stanislaus College, the same school that the president went to, but they had different teachers. And then we pushed him to the university. He did a business management. He got a distinction, and then we pushed him to the University of West Indies, where we did project management. And he's doing well. He did other development program, and he's doing well. But the point I want to make is that let the babies come, and in the early stages, program them, give them the opportunity to develop academically. See that they go to primary school, see that they go to secondary school, and see that they go to university. Make sure that you program them to do well. So Kepler is doing well, and I want to congratulate him for seeing another birth anniversary. I'm sure his little daughter, my granddaughter, Kathy, is going to make him busy, and he's got to produce the goods for his birthday. So in closing the session, let me say happy birthday to Kepler and happy birthday to all those persons that we mentioned.
Right. Happy birthday to your son. Happy birthday to all the others. And I noted that when you wanted a son, your wife did not take you to Guyana stores to do a purchase, right? She employed activities, productive activities that allowed for you to get your son. So congratulations to that. But Larry George, you talk about Larry George. I remember when I took over B Division in 2003, I took over from Larry. Then from Bobby's, after the controversy with Jack Dio and Gadraj, I was transferred to A Division. Larry was the commander then, but I remember well that Larry was on leave and CC was holding on. So officially, the records will show that I took over A Division from Larry. And then in 2008, when I went to headquarters to work as Deputy Commissioner Operations, I took over from Larry again. So it was on 3 occasions that I took over from Larry George. So Larry, and then as I said, I indicated earlier, we went to the FBI Academy together in 1998. We were both students at the FBI Academy, Quantico, Virginia, together. That is a rare occurrence because normally the U.S., when the invitation is extended to countries, only one candidate for a particular country. but in our case, it was Larry and I. And I recall before you had Felix and Caesar, not this one, the other one, right? Frederick Caesar. They went there together at the FBI Academy. Let me congratulate all those people. As I said, I think a good way to move into the other aspect of the program is to offer a prayer. I'm going to play a little prayer here, and I ask all of you students, over almost 1,000, to just sit back for a minute. It's about a minute and a half long, and reflect and on the prayer. Let me get some quietness and some respect and listen to the prayer. Here we go.
Good morning, Lord. Today is Wednesday, December 31st, the last day of this year. Reaching this point is already an answer. Not everything was easy. Not everything turned out the way I imagined. There were days of waiting, days of unanswered questions, days when simply continuing was an act of faith. And even so, I am still here, standing, because you have sustained me all the way here. On this last day of the year, I do not come to ask. I come to give thanks. To give thanks for everything that passed without destroying me, for every door that closed to protect me, and for everything that kept me standing. I place into your hands everything this year carried, the joys, the lessons, the struggles that taught me to grow, the dreams that were fulfilled and the ones that are still being prepared. May nothing heavy from this year cross into the new season. May I enter the coming year with a clean heart, a focused mind, and renewed faith. Guide my next steps, guard my heart, and remain with me, just as you remained with me through every day that has passed. I trust what is ending, I trust what is beginning, and I rest in the certainty that you are still in control. In Jesus' name, amen. If this prayer spoke to your heart, like, comment, and share it with someone who needs to end this year in peace.
Yeah, so I think that's an appropriate prayer for the last day of the year. I hope, as you say, reflect on it's a time of reflection. The end of the year is a time of reflection and a time too when you look forward. People make all type of they look back to see where they have gone wrong. You know, they talk about resolutions for the new year and all of that. So yeah, it is that time, and I thought it was important for us to offer this prayer at the end of the year, the last program for 2025, and we're going to talk some more about the things that we look forward to in the new year. So amen and amen and amen. And some of them, as we said, some of them don't believe. Some of them are not believers. Some of them, they go to church. Some of them go to masjid. Some of them, they go to the mosque. It's just a show. It's just a charade, right? That is what they do. Because they don't act. The things that are taught in these places, they don't act it out. They lie, they thief, they cheat, they do all kind of things. They do all manner of things which are contrary to whatever religion you might be a part of. Whether you're a Christian, you're Hindu, you're Muslim, you're Rastaman, you're Baha'i, whatever it is. I think what those religions have in common is that they all tell you to do good to your fellow man. They tell you that. All of them tell you to do good. And when you look at some of the things that these, especially those who are in government and those who hold certain offices, right? When you see the things that they're doing, right? You want to know if they are really listening to what those holy books or what those holy men, and I say holy men in inverted commas, because some of them parade around that they're holy, they are bishops and so on, and they're more wicked and worthless than me and you. And they hold the Bible, and the day is coming when they got to answer. The day is coming when they have to answer. Because remember the Bible says, those who knows the master's will and does it not, what gonna happen to them, right? Well, they go and preach, and it turns a lot of people off. Because when they go there and they preach and they're so pious, and they're so righteous, and when people see how they act, people lose faith in the religion and the system. People lose faith. So I say, as I've said, this is a good time for us to pray. Maybe later on in the program when most students we just pass 1,000, maybe a little later it might be appropriate for us to end with the same prayer because we're still into the last day of the year. So share the live, give me the thumbs up, share the live, and we are going to continue. Now today is the 6th day of Kwanzaa. Remember I told you all about Kwanzaa? And the 6th day of Kwanzaa deals with creativity. I think the African word is Kumba, Kuumba, Kumba, and Kumba speaks about creativity. That is the 6th day, and as I had indicated before, Kwanzaa starts on the first day of Kwanzaa is on the 26th of December. So today is the 6th day. Tomorrow will be the 7th and final day of Kwanzaa, right? Yes, somebody said they love the Kwanzaa outfit. Denise, yes, you have got to you have to represent, so to speak. You have got to represent. So yeah, so that is what we have. Now let me sad past 24, 36 hours with the number of deaths that we have had. Now, the first one that was reported, it says here, I'm going to read briefly. Bamia poultry farmer shot dead in bed. This is the Bamia. Bamia is on the Linden-Suzaik Highway, close to Linden, because I remember that well because I used to have the toll gate at Bamia as a young sergeant. I worked there. TSU used to send I think we used to spend a month. TSU used to send people to work there. Those were the days of the toll gate, right? So we used to go there and guard the toll gate. I was a young sergeant sent to Bamia. It said police are investigating a fatal shooting of 47-year-old man while he slept during the early hours of yesterday. That would have been today. I think that would have been the early hours of Tuesday at his home in Bamia along the Linden-Suzaik Highway. The dead man has been identified as Dion Shan Ramdian, a bus driver and poultry farmer. According to the police, the incident occurred about 2:30 a.m. Inquiries reveal that he was at home with his longtime friend, with whom he shared his residence, a male friend. The two men had known each other for about 10 years and had been living together for the past 5 years while jointly rearing chickens and pigs. All, that is the man who he was there with, told investigators that he was awakened around 2:30 a.m. by loud explosions followed by cries for help from his friend. He said he immediately raised an alarm and the police was subsequently notified. Upon arrival, the ranks found him lying in the bed in a pool of blood. An examination revealed that he had sustained 8 gunshot wounds, including one to the abdomen, one to the left arm, one upper back, 3 to his buttocks, and 2 to his left eye. Police are investigating. Imagine that the man get killed in his bed. I don't know. They haven't followed up to say what the motive, because when you have this incident, the first thing you're going to look to see, I know as an investigator, you want to know what is the motive. And then there's the next one here. Again, they say here, Linden man gone down. This is another incident, separate incident. This happened sometime yesterday, I think. A man was shot dead yesterday, afternoon at Wismar, Linden, in what the police is treated as a targeted attack. The dead man has been identified as Amar Jones, who operated a wreck removal service. Reports indicate that Jones was driving his truck at the time of the incident when he was attacked by 2 armed men on a motorcycle. The assailants opened fire and then fled the scene, right? Then this, well, it looked like, let me understand, we said motive. Any proper investigator or investigation will check on the background of these victims, because as Sean is suggesting, it doesn't look like it was a robbery. It looked like it was a hit. So therefore, you have to check to see background, associates, maybe you had problem. This require a thorough investigation, right? Thorough. Well, all these matters require thorough investigation, but you have to look to see what the motive is, or what in this case. And then we had again, we told you that this 75-year-old man, this is just around Christmas time, and I understand from what I'm reading or what I was told, the man returned from the U.S. to celebrate Christmas, and the same day he returned, he was killed, West Bank Demerara, right? Then Um, when you think you had a reported incident, two Brazilians die in Chanapao pit cave-in. Some pit they digging for gold, cave-in, two Brazilian men were killed in that. Well, let me tell you that from experience once, and what was related to me from time to time, once it is a rainy season, it is very dangerous to be digging pit looking for gold and so on. Rainy season, because the soil become very loose. You have erosion and so on. And these two Brazilians died in the pit cave-in. Then we had a fatal accident, another fatal accident on the east bank, Demerara, at Greenfield. It's night before the last. They say, no, that night before the last. This is one at Providence. Woman died in an accident. They say she was crossing the road and a speeding motor car killed her. Not a fatal accident. The one at Greenfield occurred a few days ago, we're talking about. And then this morning, it has been reported that an 89-year-old woman, East Coast, found dead, stopped to death. And her 88-year husband is arrested in the matter. 89-year-old woman stopped to death, and her 88-year-old woman is in police custody as the investigation into that matter progress. So I say this thing to tell you, right? And don't forget, Christmas Day, you had two murders. One at Tushan and one somewhere else. Stabbing incident, murder. It is sad. It is sad. At any time, especially at this time. It is sad. It is sad. Now, 89-year-old stabbed and killed. It is suggesting that our 88-year-old husband is a suspect. Something wrong. Something wrong. When you get to them age and you're so close to your maker, I made a mistake and said something. Somebody said, I said husband. I said woman. Well, 89-year-old woman. I mean, if it's that I may have misspoken. And our 88-year-old husband is in custody. That is reported this morning as the investigation continues. Well, 88 and 89, when you get to them age, you got to thank the Lord for allowing you to get so far, because the end is near. The end is near. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know what really transpired there. But just to say, bloody period. It continues. It continues. That's why we got to pray and hope that when we go into the new year, right, things are going to change, right? Things are going to change. Now I bring in CC to make his comment on those incidents, and then we're going to move on. CC, what say you?
Before the bloody incidents I comment, I want to go back to the point you made that I handed over a division to you. And let me tell you a little story, I was the substantive commander for West Demerara. It's now Region 3. And Winston Felix called me a day. He was the commissioner and said, Larry George going to leave. I want you to go and take over. I went and I took over. Larry George was to resume on the Friday. And Felix called me in his office. He said, I got to make some hard decision, and it include you. He said, tomorrow morning, hand over a division to Paul Slow. That will be Friday. Saturday, go back to West Demerara and hand over your division to Samuel Thomas. Sunday, if you just go to church, go to church. And Monday, find yourself at Coven John and take over C Division from Deputy Commissioner Wills. I said, Skipper, what are you saying? He said, here was saying, and he used a fancy word, tomorrow morning, hand over to Paul Slow. Saturday, go across West Demerara and hand over to Samuel Thomas. Sunday, you just go to church. And Monday, find yourself at Coven John and take over from Deputy Commissioner Wills. And in those days, those fine man gang were reigning terror on the East Coast. And he used some fancy language, which I cannot repeat here, and thing. And I stood up in his office a bit confused. He sat down with you. Why do you in my office say you want a commission work? Go and take over from the deputy commissioner schools. And I went home and I told my wife, I said, oh God, you're going dead. They're going to kill you in that boxing. I said, you're supposed to be a woman of God. And before you pray that your husband is the man for boxing, who going to cool long boxing, you're all going dead. You're going to left without a husband. And she said, no, I don't mean it so. Let me pray. And she kneel long and she prayed for me. And I had a very reasonable time on these coasts. Prayers could move mountains. Prayers, if we believe in God, react the way that God wants us to act. A lot of good things will be to us. But we get into murders. Two persons on the Linden there die under tragic circumstances, fatal accident. Now you're 88 and 89-year-old living together, and somebody and the woman die from Starbucks. Something is going wrong that we need some divine intervention in this country. So let's hope that things will quiet down a bit for the new year.
Well, we'll continue to pray. We'll continue to pray and hope that there is a change. Because, oh God, man, things really, really rough in Guyana with the corruption, the killings, the murders, the road deaths. Things really, really tough. But let me tell you something too. The same transfer with me, that was in 2004 to A Division. Because remember, 2003, I had the run-in with Gadraj and Jagdeo, right? And they attempted to remove me from the force. I moved to the High Court, right? And was successful. Well, let me say, I moved to the High Court because on advice of my lawyer, Senior Counsel Rex McKay, they were trying to remove me from office without cause. So we got to court. Now, when we got to court, they did not file a defense, so the matter was languishing. They left McDonald on his own. Well, I got an injunction from the court preventing them from moving me from Borbies and from the division and out of the force, right? That was the injunction. They couldn't move me. So then I made a decision that at the start of 2004, going back to where I came from, BV, and build me a house. I hadn't my own house all the time. Lived in police quarters for a lot of the time. So I decided to go back. I had accumulated leave, I think 90-something days leave. And McDonald was still the commissioner at the time. And I told my colleagues, senior officer, look, I'm going to leave to build my house. And I said, let me understand this thing clearly. Let me understand. I am resuming duty until my house was finished. I said, I have a program for it to be finished as quickly as possible, 4 or 5 months, the most. Right? I said, I'm not resuming duty until my house is finished. And I said, the second thing, if the house finished and McDonald is still the commissioner, I ain't resuming duty. I am not working another day under Flight McDonald. I told them that, right? I'm not working another day under Flight McDonald. Understand this thing clearly. I told them. So it's all right. So, as fate would have it, McDonald was removed. Felix took over. So when Felix took over, Felix wanted me now to come to A Division. But you remember that I said I am resuming till my house was finished and McDonald removed. Well, McDonald was removed, so the house wasn't finished. And I told them, I said, hey, my house ain't done, I ain't coming. And they called me, right? They called me and they persuaded me, because the house is gone far. Just little fine things were to be done. The house is gone far. And they persuaded me to resume, even though the house was not completed. That persuaded me. And I did come out and took over A Division from CC. So they got to understand the background to these things, You got to understand the background. You see, these things don't happen just so. So I stood up to them and they said, they victimized me and so forth. So I left with my dignity. I left with my dignity. I like Francine, the Francine, the Calypsonian. Die with my dignity, man. They can't buy that. They can't buy integrity. You can't buy the integrity. You can't buy dignity. So I thought I'll mention that having regards to what CC said there. Now let me update you on the next matter, right? As we move on, I'm trying to finish off these heavier subjects so we can get a little lighter part down at the bottom. Share the live. We just passed 1300. Share. Now, y'all remember this incident where this man, Da Silva, from Diamond and the East Bank, killed his reputed wife, Kenisha Juman Vaughn, right? This occurred on the February the 22nd, 2025, less than a year ago. February the 22nd. If you remember, they say they're drinking at Palm Court, and then he left, and some altercation between he and his wife, and he emptied a pistol. He emptied his licensed pistol on the woman. He emptied it, and then he came out of the thing, right? Now, he was charged with the murder, and it was recently, right? Today is Wednesday. I think it would have been over the last weekend. It is reported that the magistrate, Dylan Best, presiding at the Diamond Magistrate Court, has committed Marlon De Silva to stand trial for murder at the next sitting of the assizes, that is the Demerara Assizes. But if you recall, even before that, I think his lawyers had made a no-case submission. That is, after the prosecution presented their evidence, his lawyers made no-case submission. So the magistrate ruled that it's a case for him to answer, and he's committed to stand trial at the assizes. And then it says, at the close of the preliminary inquiry, defense attorney urged the court, listen to this carefully, students, listen to this carefully. At the close of the preliminary inquiry, defense attorneys urged the court to commit Da Silva for manslaughter instead, arguing that the evidence support provocation and negates the intent required for murder. That's what they argue. The defense relied on Da Silva's unsworn statement and video footage, contending the incident unfolded during a sudden confrontation with no cooling off period. They further submitted that Caribbean case law support a manslaughter charge where provocation and excessive force arise, unless intent to kill or cause grievous bodily harm is proven, and argued there is no duty to retreat under Guyanese law. The court was asked to either discharge Da Silva on grounds of self-defense or commit for manslaughter only. Magistrate Best ruled that issues including the number of shots fired, the reasonableness of the response, and whether provocation existed are matters for a judge to determine, and committed Da Silva for murder. Da Silva is represented by attorneys Glenn Anaman, Sanjeev Dattadin, Everton Singlami. The prosecutors, Kishwana Jeffords and Nigel Hughes, appeared for the Director of Public Prosecutions. Now, a lot of things to unpack here as we teach, as we enlighten, right? So first thing that occurred to me, this murder occurred, or let me say the alleged murder occurred on February the 22nd, 2025, this year, the day before Mashamani. And well, I got to compliment the court for completing this preliminary inquiry in what the Attorney General will say, labor time, breakneck speed, right? Less than a year, a PI for murder is completed. We got to compliment the court on that. Now, the fact, you know, some of these lawyers, I don't know when they went to law school. One would argue that lawyers have a responsibility to represent the client and to try to twist things to suit the client. But when a man, as we all came to know, shoot his reputed wife with a pistol and multiple rounds, they say, I can't remember the number of rounds that were alleged to have fired at her. What is lawyers talking about? Right? Somebody said the Caribbean case law supports a manslaughter charge where provocation and excessive force arise, unless intent to kill was or cause grievous bodily harm was proven. When you actually empty a pistol at someone, You're telling me there was no intent to kill? What nonsenseness is that? 12 rounds are set fired. This is not a case where, all right, in anger, and you say, bam, you fire one round and the person dies. It is alleged that the man fired 12 rounds, pumped 12 rounds into his reputed wife in the presence of their infant child. And the liars are suggesting that the seller submitted that Caribbean case law supports a manslaughter charge where provocation and excessive force arise unless intent to kill or cause grievous bodily harm is proven. You want to tell me you don't have intent to kill or cause grievous bodily harm when you fire 12 shots at an individual? 12 shots? Well, look, some of these people, when you hear these things, I don't know what are the standard required for debarring and all them. They should not be allowed to practice when they come with them nonsense. I understand that, yes, you have to defend your client and so on, but when you come and you bring this spurious and nonsensical argument, I can't understand it, right? Then the magistrate ruled that issues including, quite correctly, I must say, and I'm not a liar, but I'm saying that the magistrate ruled, and they say quite correctly, that issues including the number of shots fired, the reasonableness of the response, and whether provocation existed are matters for the judge to determine. I fully agree. I fully agree. That is matter for the judge to determine. Because they want to argue that you fired 12 shots and kill your reputed wife, and well, all right, that is because you were provoked. They basically are saying that there was no what is that? They claiming that there was no intent to kill or to cause grievous bodily harm. That is what you are suggesting, liars, Glenn Anamon, Sanjeev Dattadin, Everton Singlami. That is what they're suggesting. And I noted with interest here, the prosecution, Keshwana Jefford and Nigel Hughes. So the DPP would have given the fiat, the permission for attorney Nigel Hughes, them to prosecute the case. Now, the next thing I want you to understand, the magistrate will commit to stand trial for murder, as he did, right? Teaching time. Now, what happens here is that the depositions, all the documents and so on, will be sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions, right? The fact that the magistrate commit for murder doesn't mean that the DPP will indict for murder. So let me watch it. Because the DPP is the one who has to indict the accused person. The DPP has wide constitutional powers. The magistrate said murder. The DPP can, I don't say she will, but she can decide, given what we hear here, oh, we got indicted for manslaughter. All that can happen. So don't jump and start to celebrate. Let's follow the case to see what will happen. Because when you hear certain liars are involved, and given the alleged connections with some of these people, don't be surprised that the next thing we hear, Marlon, what you name? Marlon De Silva, the accused murderer, is indicted for manslaughter. And once he's indicted for manslaughter, the next thing you know, he's up on bail, and then the next thing you know, whatever shenanigans play out, he can walk. So let me understand it clearly, Let me understand this thing clearly. So you've got to follow these things and keep it in the loose. Keep them under a little pressure. So I thought I'll mention to let you know, because the average man will read that the magistrate commit him to murder and say, well, he get committed. Yeah, the magistrate conducted, not a trial, the magistrate conducted a preliminary inquiry, right? So the magistrate basically ruled that based on the evidence produced before him, the matter should go before the judge and the jury. But in this whole process, the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions, will be the one to decide whether this matter is going to go, whether he's going to be indicted, because he's committed. You got to understand these terms and so on. He's committed by the magistrate, but then the DPP has to indict him. and it's based on the indictment. Whatever the DPP indicts him for, that is what he is going to be tried before the judge and jury for. So, sir, when you read this thing on the side, I say, I think we need to, as we have done on this program repeatedly, we need to come and explain the fineries, as they say. Mind you, as we say, we are not liars. We don't claim to be no liar. We are experienced former police officers. And based on our experience, based on our knowledge, we need to bring these things to your attention. Because a lot of the people in the system, I know, here the man, the magistrate court commits him to stand trial for murder. And you believe it's murder. No, might very well be. But then look to see what he is going to be indicted for. Look to see. And because, again, I say, this man committed this act, or is alleged to have committed this act, on the 22nd of February this year. And the preliminary inquiry has been completed in breakneck speed. Right? Things that look regular. Things that look regular. Because if you were to examine the system in the court, you will see there are lots of matters, PIs, preliminary inquiries, that have been pending longer than that, pending for a long time. But this, I'd say, is a high-profile matter, and this is what we have. Let me bring in CC, and then we're going to move on. CC, what say you, my brother?
Well, like you, I read the report, and I was surprised the line in which the defense went. Never heard of it before, where the defense submitting that he should be indicted or be committed for manslaughter. Here is it among the charge for murder, and you defending and you submitting that they should send it to the court, High Court, for him to be charged with manslaughter. Perhaps the idea was, go manslaughter, you go on bail, walk free subsequently. And the magistrate used a word that I don't do, a little bit wobbly in it, that it should go for the judge to decide. And my memory gone back to Henry Green. Henry Green, allegation that you rape a woman, and the DPP advised that Henry Green be charged with rape. And before any action can be taken, Henry Green run to the court, Ian Chang. And Ian Chang say, let the DPP come and justify why she advised that Henry Green be charged with rape. And he went on and made certain other conclusion. He's saying the DPP is the supreme authority. If the file comes to the DPP and the DPP see their matters to be cleared up, got to send it back to be cleared up. But if the file comes to the DPP and after the DPP has gone through, there is no evidence there. So the DPP is the supreme authority, that the DPP should stop it there. There is no evidence. Don't send it to no judge or jury to decide. Don't send it to no judge. You, the supreme authority, must stop it right there. And don't send it for any judge or jury to decide, because you are the supreme authority in the matter. And the DPP wasn't able to justify, for the matter, I think the DPP, the director didn't go to court, send some junior people to verify why they advised that Henry Green be charged with rape. And Henry Green was not charged with rape because of the ruling of the then acting Chief Justice. So a little wobbly whether you must send it to the magistrate, to the judge or jury, or for the judge to decide. It's a little bit wobbly there.
Well, the DPP is the authority on all criminal prosecutions, whether it's public criminal or private criminal, meaning whether the charge is instituted by the police or one of the agencies, maybe KANU, the Soku's police, GRA, whether it's public or whether it's private. So if you institute a private criminal charge against anyone, the DPP is the authority on that as well. There are several cases. Private criminal charge was instituted against the current crime chief. Remember in that that thing with Bascom, and the DPP discontinued the matter. Before that, long ago, a private criminal charge of murder was instituted by UC Koyana against police officer Steve Mirai in I think it's the Shakabe murder. And DPP intervened. Not this, I don't think it was this DPP, but the DPP intervened and stopped it. So I say this to let you know that the DPP is the authority on all criminal matters, private and public. Now, you may recall with the Marcus Bisram matter, the way the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, intervened and curtailed the DPP power as it relates to reopening cases. Because what happened, the Criminal Jurisdiction Procedure Act provided where a magistrate having, going to a PI, a preliminary inquiry, decided that there was no evidence to commit the person, right? The DPP had the power to instruct the magistrate to reopen the case and commit. The DPP had that power. The CCJ intervened and struck that down. Says it doesn't keep its separation of powers and so on. So the system now is that if a magistrate discharges a case and the DPP feels that the discharge is not justified, the DPP has to go, I think, file an application before a judge for the judge to review the matter, and it's the judge has to determine whether this matter must be reopened or not. But prior to the CCJ's ruling, the DPP will there are several cases, will just instruct the magistrate, the DPP would instruct a magistrate, separate branch of government and all that, to open the case and commit. Please reopen the case and commit. The DPP had that power, but that was struck down, right? So again, you got to understand these nuances and so on in these matters. And we seek to, as far as we can, explain. As I've said, we are not lawyers, but I think that's a layman's explanation for some of these things. Now, let me move on, man. It's been 1 hour into this program already. And there's an issue that is going on that, Christmas time, I don't know if you had it this time around, because I don't listen to radio and so on. Attack used to get no big thing, Stretch Out magazine and all them things during the Christmas period and no thing. The same, the late Ron Robinson and all these people, no big thing, Stretch Out magazine and all, enough joke, enough fun. Now I see a lot of things circulating on social media. Azuddin Mohammed has been making he had making allegation, he has been revealing certain things. People jump on the allegation. I think he alleging nothing, I think he just revealing and asking for questions to be answered, right? He had one with the agriculture minister. He started with his son first. Then he came with the agriculture minister. These people acquired massive wealth. Massive wealth. And the most recent one, which I find very, very amusing, man, is the one between Azuddin and Susan Rodriguez, is the minister's name. I think the minister then now at tourism. Minister was formerly at housing with this new configuration thing. Now, let me say this. Before I'm gonna show you all the tape, I'm gonna show you all the tape. Because I find it laughing steady when I see the thing. Some of them are suggesting that Azuddin Mohammed is doing these things to get back at people. Get back. So in many cases, the sycophants are not they're not addressing the main issue. The suggestion, I'm using the word suggestion instead of allegation, the suggestion that these assets, properties and other assets, might have been acquired illegally, right? All right. Some of them suggesting that Azuddin is not credible, and therefore whatever he says about these people, he has no credibility. They claim that he's sanctioned, he's facing extradition, and they're making all sorts of allegations. But I say this, not to represent Azuddin Mohammed, not to represent. But I say this. Remember, I just used the saying here before. If Patwa come from River Bottom and tell you, say, Uri got fever, you got to believe the Patwa. In other words, they were all in this thing together. Nobody can deny that. The evidence is there. Azuddin Mohammed and his father were tick with the PPP cabal. Tick, like they say, like Bati and Po. Tick. So if Azuddin Mohammed comes out now and makes these revelations, you got to think, you got to look and listen to him. I believe you got to listen to him because he's not a stranger. He's a man who been there. He been there. So he ought to know what is going on, right? Then let me show y'all the first video, man. Let me show y'all the first video. It's about 3 minutes long. So sit back. Christmas still in the air. So get your ginger beer, get your piece of black cake, or get your sorrel and watch it.
This is what corruption under the PPP government looks like.
There's something you didn't know.
Behind me is a newly constructed massive apartment complex in Peters Hall, just off the Heroes Highway. This building, with modern amenities and luxury finishes, including a roof garden and large parking lot, belongs to the Minister of Tourism, Suzanne Rodriguez. This is not one, but 2 parcels of state land. While the housing system prevents ordinary Guyanese and even legally married spouses from receiving more than a single house lot, the minister received 2 large parcels. The question has to be asked, can the minister give herself land? Here in Guyana, there appears to be a 2-tier system, one for ordinary citizens and another for government ministers and their families. Let us begin with the reality faced by the average Guyanese. If you apply for a house lot through the Central Housing and Planning Authority, you are told to wait. If your application is dated 2024 or 2025, you are informed that the system is still allocating 2023 applications. You are told, we are coming up to your year. People wait for years, sometimes decades, and when an allocation finally comes, it is usually in undeveloped schemes, in bush or jungle, with no proper roads, water, electricity, or drainage. Now, compare that to what occurred here with Minister Suzanne Rodriguez. She has selected 2 parcels of prime land while she was Minister of Housing. The PPP believes Guyanese are foolish and will accept this explanation that this multi-million-dollar building was financed through a loan or mortgage. What collateral could Suzanne Rodriguez have had prior to secure such financing? Which financial institution would approve a loan of this magnitude? On what income assessment was that loan granted, given a minister's salary of less than 1.2 million per month? What repayment terms would allow such a development to be financed lawfully? This project, which ran in the hundreds of millions, possibly over $1 billion, was built in record time while she was Minister of Housing. Take a look at another property belonging to Suzanne Rodriguez, which was also built recently in a jiffy. This is another one of her many properties. This situation helps explain why Guyanese cannot get house lots, why families are stuck renting, and why applications gather dust, waiting year after year. Because while tens of thousands of Guyanese have none, this minister has 2 prime parcels and even more. As the presumptive leader of the opposition, I am entrusted with an obligation to expose corruption and misuse of state resources to the Guyanese people. I trust that the US, British, and Canadian authorities are paying close attention to how public office under the PPP is being used for personal enrichment at the expense of the people. Stay tuned for more exposure of corruption by this minister, Suzanne Rodriguez, and other ministers and their families in the PPP government.
Oh la la! Oh la la! This Azuddin a few days ago came out. You heard it yourself, but you know he used a phrase that interests me. He said something about legally married spouses. Showing shares legally married spouses in reference to the minister. What you mean, man? Tell us what you mean. Is she married? Is it not a legally? Is not a legal arrangement? I'm interested. I'm sure that others are interested as well. Because I picked out that phrase from the many some legally married spouses, right? Legally married spouses. But once Azadin came out with that video, the minister wrote a letter on social media. And here what the letter says. It's a page long, so y'all bear. Dear Azadin, Hannah, and the Mohammed's criminal gang. Hannah is, I think, Mohammed's Azadin's sister. But you should describe them. Dear Azadin, Hannah, and the Mohammed's criminal gang. Let me take this opportunity to remind all of you that the elections were held on September the 1st, 2025, and you lost. The people of Guyana rejected you and have President Ali and gave President Ali an even bigger mandate. Let me also remind you, in case you forgot, because I know you are fully aware that I come from money. Hey, let me read back the part. Here the minister said, let me remind you, in case you forgot, because I know you are fully aware that I come from money. I do not get excited over fancy things like you do, since I've been around fancy things my entire life. Wonder what fancy thing the minister referring to. Money is new to and exciting to you, so you need to drive a Lamborghini around the whole country to compensate for your inadequacies, like your tiny brain. Cuss out, abuse out. I am the owner of multiple properties, none of which were acquired from the government of Guyana. I have never received, nor have I ever applied for any OSLAT through the Central Housing and Planning Authority or any other government agency. The certificates of title bearing my name were all bought by me from a private individual, executed through an agreement of sale, and are not the lands upon which the apartment building is located. I can produce evidence of this at any time. The owner of that building should sue you. I am also not the owner of the second building in your amateur video, but I will have you know that the property was acquired in the year 2016, long before I entered government, and my party was never even in power during that time. Apart from properties, I am a shareholder in several companies, locally and internationally, all of which I have declared to the Integrity Commission, because I can account for every cent of my wealth, and I am not ashamed of it. You, on the other hand, amass your wealth from criminal activity. It must really bother you that people can actually work hard, use their brains, and acquire assets legally and honestly. That must be a radical idea for you to accept. Somebody saying no song? No, man. Somebody saying no song, but I'm seeing my. Let me continue. Your attempt to pull everyone into the cesspool with you will not prevent you from getting on that plane. You are desperate. You are a desperate, drunken man. You must answer for the billions of dollars you stole from government. You must answer for the gold smuggling linked to the Venezuelan generals. You must answer for the money laundering for drug traffickers and criminals, including sanctioned Russian nationals, as reported by Reuters. By the way, Anna's husband is Russian. You must also answer for the links to Hezbollah and other terrorist groups. The Americans most likely want you for these links more than anything else. No amount of deflecting will save you from answering for your crimes. Imagine the most corrupt family in Guyana pretending to fight corruption. What a laughable thing. That is the minister's response. Never dissect that yet. That is the minister says she come from money. I didn't done there. You know done there. She said so as I didn't fire back. Hey, I tell y'all, the thing nice. The thing nice, as I didn't fire back. Dear Susan, let me take this opportunity to remind you that you are the person who used to come to me and ask to put gas in your old beat-up Toyota Primo pre-2020. No disrespect, I have a black Primo that is part of my collection. Birthday money, Christmas bonuses, gold, small change, gas money, GPL bill, every little ache or pain you needed money. Whenever you have your whenever you have an outreach, you're coming to me to ask for money. And for that, I'm happy to help as long as it benefits the people. Susan, like you didn't have access to the generational wealth then. Susan, your groceries too, as the old saying goes, don't buy the hand that feeds you. So now you're not only a liar, you're an ungrateful liar. Ungratefulness is worse than witchcraft. Then people say, Nimakaran. Then they go, so I'm trying to understand where this newfound wealth has suddenly come from. It is unprecedented that Win was able to do in just 3 months what Win was able to do in just 3 months, to overthrow a 65-year-old party and shake up the political landscape. As a new party, every vote we got is a win for the party and a loss for the PPP. Because what that shows is that the people are fed up with the dictatorship of the PPP. You nor your masters do not have the testicular fortitude to go out there and start your party of your own all by yourself. No one would follow you. You can't get even 100 votes. You have to stoop and pudoop. You have to stoop and pudoop. I expected the minister to come out and address the allegations before her. However, she came out to deflect when she knows fully well everything I have done for her personally prior to and after 2020 election. These same earnings from the alleged criminal. But I do not want to go down that road. You can say what you want about me. That does not bore holes in my skin. We know where all this has come from. The writer's article, the sanction, everything. They were influenced by the PPP because of how much PPP fears my massive support in the country. You won't understand that and should have Bharat explain this to you. This is what the PPP does. When faced with evidence of their corrupt activities, they come out here and instead of addressing them, they deflect and abuse out. I'm accustomed to this by now, Susan. It's night and day. The PPP abuse out. Come with something different. Susan, this is exactly why you are moved from the Ministry of Housing for your massive corruption. And instead of focusing on the issue at hand and presenting the facts, you came out with the usual gutter politics and custom. The Guyanese people deserve better. They deserve transparency and accountability from the government. Stop lying when you know you have not declared most of your assets to the Integrity Commission. Your explanation about building not being on the land that you own is a blatant lie and meant to confuse the Guyanese people. Stop trying to underestimate the intelligence of the Guyanese and trying to fool and trick them. These lands are buildings belong to you and are dated during your tenure as Minister of Housing on 8th of August 2024, signed by you. Subsequently, the construction of the building was completed before the 2025 elections. It is yours. And for the first time in your life, you should take opportunity to be honest. Susan, do you remember when you called me all excited to come over as soon as the Lamborghini left the wharf at John Finance? And of course, that was okay. And you came by to have a photo shoot. Now, you are saying that I'm a never see come to see. And here you are, you pose off looking very excited, are saying these things do not excite you. Let me show you the picture, what he's referring to. This is the picture. According to Azudin Mohammed, the day when the Lamborghini come and he called Susan, she was all excited. And I'm saying she advisedly. All excited and run to John Finance Wharf and posing there. Look, man, Lamborghini and the posing. Lamborghini and the posing. Man, you think the thing done there? Susan Rodriguez alleged, call it Mohammed family, criminal family or something. What they say? I would say the wrong thing. They say the not amount of effective resolve answering. Imagine the most corrupt family in Guyana pretending to fight corruption. What a laughable thing. The most corrupt family in Guyana, that is what you say. Well, then the people dig. Man, yeah, the people dig. That reminds Susan Rodriguez, the minister, about your thieving brother who went to jail for robbery. Hey, I follow this thing and I get a good laugh. Good me own no big thing as Shut Out magazine. They have to remind you that you get some brother that got to jail for some robbery and so on. And then it ain't done there. Remember Susan Rodriguez said that this thing don't excite she because she came from a family Let me read back this part, man. Let me read back this part. She said, I do not get excited. In case you forgot, she said, let me remind you, in case you forgot, because I know you're fully aware that I come from money. The lady come from, well, the person come from money. And hey, let me tell you this, man. I enjoyed it. This is I'm going to play for you now a clip of the same Susan Rodriguez, I think when she went to Parliament for the first time in 2020. Sit back, enjoy. It's about a minute long. Here it is.
I come from a family, a working class family, a grandmother who scrubbed floors and cleaned people's houses for a living. A grandmother who worked in the kitchens of Del Casa, a restaurant that doesn't exist anymore for the young people who are listening. And I listen.
Let's clear something up, because there are two very different stories being told here. On one hand, we're hearing about humble beginnings. On the other, we're hearing about access, money, and privilege. So, which one is it? Because the story keeps changing, and when stories change, people start asking questions.
You hear lie? That is lie. Lie? You hear lie?
Teacher Pussy say if you tell a lie, you're going to hell as soon as you die.
Students, I hope y'all are enjoying this thing as much as I'm enjoying. I gotta play this song here, man. I gotta play it. Can't say the abuse out.
It was a big bacchanal just the other day with Enid and Shimakume. Big comments the other day with Enid and Shimakume. I ain't want to hear, so I pass him straight. A fella pull me and tell me wait. Same time Enid husband get off the bus. Well, it's now the Makume start to cuss. She say, look Enid, remember it's you who say how you hire your husband so total bay. Your sweet man does come home in the house too. He could only watch and he can't say, yeah Enid, woman, why you lying on me? Girl, I'm not in your category. And if even said what you said is true, you have a man with your husband too. It hurt me, but I felt so shame when I hear she called him my name. He's so shocked, he don't know what to do, so he stand up there listening to. A policeman was right on the beat, run to make an arrest, but he come as sweet. Enid is a big socialist himself. She want to cuss, but she hardly open she mouth. Girl, you should shame to kiss me for true. It's me, Enid, who you talking to. When you were sick in the hospital, I lend you me dress me nighty and all. What you know about shame, the Makume say you didn't shame last week Saturday when your husband come home earlier. Instead, you had to hide the man underneath the bed. When the man hear that, he face come pale as mud. If you choke him, you can't get blood. Watching the wife and shaking the head, I say, Lord, well, tonight she dead. And next comments, woman listening shout, hey, mouth open man Tory jump out. This time the Makume put she hand on she waist, and if you see how she getting on in the place, she say, look, Enid, it's better you leave and go. Don't let me talk everything I know, because you and Doris couldn't agree. You tie the child in the girl belly. I don't care what you say to do. I am still Mistress Enid Bedu. Bailey fair take back my TV set, and I never thief peas in the market yet. Now the husband shame, he couldn't take no more. He tell the wife, girl, come let we go. He hold she hand and he pulling she. but she tugging away from me. The Makume say, yes, you manico. You better take she away for true. She hire so dotish and borokin. What she give to rob is that you take and eat. He say, listen, young woman, stop making strife. You want to put me against my wife. In front of me face, you're lying on she. My wife ain't have nobody with me. I know that man you are speaking about. That is her cousin Rufus from South. When he come home with a sleeping tree, sometime I myself does take he for me.
Inid and Chi Makume, big music. I loving it. I loving it. Students, y'all comment. Let me hear if y'all enjoying it too. Let me hear if y'all enjoying it. So that is Inid and Chi Makume. And then, of course, when you listen to the story, listen to this one.
I know some of you wouldn't believe me, but if a lie asked me good friend Mackie, it was a big lying competition to see who they will crown as lying champion. Liars from all parts of the West Indies, big shot liars from all them foreign countries. From a feel about 1,000 or so entry in 2 days, he boiled down and leave just 3. I had me eye on Liar the Lion, because I know he does come with some good ones. But they had a younger fella named Tibo, come from some village there in Tobago. He say his father is Tobago's best fisherman. Catch a fisherman wide 80 feet in span. He had to tighten the boat and swim back to land to get his brother Eric to give him a hand. You hear lie? That is lie. Lie? You hear lie?
Teacher Pussy say if you tell a lie, you're going to hell as soon as you die.
Some of them going to hell even before they die. Some of them going to hell even before they die. Now, we got a lot of things said in the statement there by Rodriguez and so on. And today is Old Year's Day, man. So I just give you all that little part. We can come with it again. Let me bring in. I'm doing it because CC's out in the studio. I don't know if you get blackout or however. Let's say you get blackout, there's somebody punchy and black you out. When you get power outage, as they would say. Even the president admitted yesterday, I think it was, about power dissatisfaction with power generation and distribution and all that. Remember, power board does cut off the power. What do you think? Yawari, whatever Yawari cause power failure. What is some contractor working some power? All sort of excuses, man. All sort of excuses, right? All sort of excuses. People tell you say the thing sweet bad, the use out sweet bad. And here, you know what I like? As a former senior police officer, I like when you present them with facts, receipts. Receipts. They come and they say that sort of thing. Receipts, bring receipts. The lady said, oh God, the person said that they come from wealth, we come from money, but yet still, they say the grandma used to wash wares and scrub plates to get money. So where was the generational wealth then? Where was the generational wealth? Or wait, you say that the grandmother did not have access to this generational wealth? You come from money? You come from money, and you call it people keeping family. If you bring out evidence to show your body got to jail for robbery. Oh Lord, and the thing really, really sweet, man. The thing really sweet, right? The thing really nice, and we gonna continue to follow it. I'm waiting for CC to come back in the studio, but we gonna continue to follow it because there's more. He spoke about this Asuden spoke about the Minister of Agriculture. The Minister of Agriculture shut for sue. But you want all of them sue, man. All of them sue so they could get disclosure and they could produce evidence. Kind of talking, oh, we made declaration to the Integrity Commission. What does that mean? What does that mean? It doesn't mean nothing. The Integrity Commission is a toothless poodle. Once you occupy certain positions, they ask you to declare. And they're not going to investigatory arrangement. So whatever you tell them, that's what they're running by. whatever you tell them, and you must check to see who is the head of the Integrity Commission. That's the homework you get. Check to see on the connection who heads the Integrity Commission. And so this whole thing is a whole set of a nonsenseness, as you would say, this good old age day. I'm waiting to CC to get back in. I'm waiting, but while we await him, right? You know, let me say this. I think I mentioned it on the last program, right? When these things are revealed, first of all, as I've said, don't tell me that Azuddin Mohammed ain't get credibility. He been there with them. And as I've said, the old people say that if Patois come from river bottom and tell you, say, Uri got fever, you got to believe the Patois. Where there is smoke, there is fire. All of them suddenly get this big business acumen, and all of them get rich. All of them suddenly. All of them, prior to 2020, maybe apart from Jagdio, who the Sioux people say they collecting 500,000 with Chinese thing, right? But there's a pattern. Look at the assets. When the current president was housing, they had a big scandal in the thing where he acquired some big property at Lenora with swimming pool and all of that when he was 31 years old. Let me question, where did he get the money? But he was the man of housing there. So like this housing thing is a sweet thing. We saw not so long ago, the CEO at housing, right? Y'all remember that? Bought a property in New York for 1.something million US dollars. That was the value of the property. So this place is a place to go. Ministry of Housing. No, they get poor Nigel Happy there in charge of security or something like that. Nigel, I hope you're watching to see what's going on around you. Because it's everybody in the Ministry of Housing being alleged, being accused of skullduggery. Everybody there, well, not everybody, most of the senior people there are accused of skullduggery. So let me see where this will go. This and done, and I love what the Mohammed is doing. You know, many of us, as I said, this program running for 4 years now. You know, this Speaking Out exposing corruption and incompetence. 4 years running. We've been talking about corruption all the time, and they were denying. Government people, oh, there ain't no corruption. Oh no, there's no corruption. Then Jack, they'll tell you, oh, bring the evidence. Bring the evidence. Well, the evidence is being produced, and what have they done? What are they doing? Nothing. Nothing they ain't doing. Jack Dio had the most serious allegation of corruption level against them. And what have they done? Was there any investigation? No, no investigation. None. You have other serious allegations of corruption. We talk about the corruption in relation to the issuing of driver's license. The evidence was presented. Then I said that all of a sudden now, the president said, all them who bypass the system. That's a euphemism for corruption. All those who bypass the system, you give them, I think, was up to 6 weeks or something, you know, for handing the driver's license. And then they're going to imagine that. Imagine if you have a president or a government that against corruption and you find evidence there is corruption, you giving the perpetrators grace period? What nonsense is that? Well, I would have thought any responsible person, any responsible government would have launched an immediate investigation. By now, we'd hear a lot of people charged and placed before the court. But no, the president say giving them grace period till sometime in February, sometime in January next year, it's going to come to an end. So maybe then going to look for investigation. I wonder, because the president said he wanted them to hand in the driver's license and got you the right system. It will be interesting to have an update to find out how many persons have handed in their illegally acquired driver's license. How many? How many? Then I hear yesterday I got the research it, so I ain't gonna talk much about it now because I get all the facts. President said people gonna get dismissed early in the new year. Somebody carry something. I gotta check whether they're gonna self-dismiss. That is this self-dismissal? The thing sweet. The thing sweet. Right? So corruption, that said, they are going to launch an anti-corruption unit that was part of the manifesto, I think, for the last election. One would have thought that if this thing was so urgent and critical, that would have been one of the first order of business. First order. Election was in September. We now almost into the new year, and we ain't anything further. It's just jokes. They're not serious. They're not serious because they know the corruption is there. And then going back to Susan Rodriguez, I hear Susan Rodriguez, she mentioned the thing, hold on, she said that to talk about Russian connection and gold smuggling linked to Venezuelan generals and all of that. Junior Bosch made an allegation about the Venezuelan generals where in Brazil have come and collect and buy gold and so on. Actually, Mohammed name was never mentioned. He mentioned other names, and they're not investigating that. But now Susan Rodriguez is coming out here to link. I ain't saying they don't link. But if you are in government and you know about all of these things, with link and so on, you wait till now for come with this Inid and Chima come here and say you're abusing out. Yeah? You know, if you had a credible, a proper police force, they would have called her in to say, let me see the investigation, or let me see the information or the evidence you have about these links. But they're just showing all these things there, right? No, she claimed but then she said, by the way, Anna's husband is a Russian. So who is your wife? What nationality is your wife? Yeah, she has a wife. Up to now, I can't come to grips with that term. But when you look at TV, I look at what they call Family Feud and so on, and other programs on the American channels. And then when I hear a man there, a male, gonna talk about his husband, it shocks me. And this is not being homophobic or anything. It shocks me, right? And then when I hear a woman on that program talking about the wife, I am shocked. I am being honest with you. When I hear these things, I'm always taken aback because I really can't still understand. I mean, it's an evolving world and everybody get their own choice and all this everything. But when you're pointing finger the spine back at you, right? So again, and to talk about the Mohammed crime family, the people put up something with the brother name and who he robbed, some cell phone shop, he got thief so much $1 million in thing, and he get jailed for armed robbery. That is what is alleged in one of the things. You live in glass house, don't pelt stones. You live in glass house, don't spell stones. And I've said the fact that Mohammed used to be with y'all, he know the thing. He know y'all's story. He know y'all's story. Now, let me, no, that is not it now. Sean said you got to leave out. We learned, right, that your, well, not sex, let's just say your gender is determined at birth. But then if you come and say, nah, your gender not determined at birth, you got to wait until the person grow up for them to decide what gender there is. Why? In my age group, the era I come from, I can't understand that. Because the people say that if you're born with certain organs, your gender is determined there and then. There and then, your gender is determined. So I don't know what happened with this world now, right? Now, I think the American passed a law now where when you make applications, you're either a male or a female. You're not going to X-class any longer. Then the X-class got to be full bore shooting. God is a class. So let me understand. Let me understand. So I suspect CC has some issues. Let me put something that I wanted to talk about. We were to talk about this. So, you know, as I've said, there's lots of serious issues to discuss, mostly in relation to corruption. Because, let me say this, today's the last in the year. Parliament, we had election on the 4th of September. So September, October, November, December. 4 months we had elections. 4 months. Then we had the swearing of parliamentarians on the 3rd of November. 3rd of November, 3rd of December. So we're almost 2 months. And they cannot, that blame should not be spread all around. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Mansour Nadir, cannot call a meeting of the opposition members as required by the Constitution, Article 184 of the Constitution, to elect a leader of the opposition. All this corruption, in my view. All of that is corruption. And the thing is being revealed. And let me say this. You know, I got this. We're going to talk about it on the next program. But there's a letter in today's paper. I saw it in Chronicle, but not Chronicle. What am I saying? Look, I don't read Chronicle. I saw it in Stabrook News, and I saw it in Kaicho News. Right? Written by respected senior counsel Kamal Juman Yassim, former chief magistrate, or former senior magistrate, or former chief magistrate Juman Yassim wrote a beautiful letter into this paper. It's a little long, but you must read it. Because basically what Juman said, among other things, is that the wicked set. When you read, you're going to understand what I mean. The wicked set. And this is said, this statement, the wicked set, is said to you in the context of the ongoing application before the acting Chief Justice, you know, in relation to the extradition case. The magistrate, Judy Latchman, who was put to inquire into the extradition case, said, well, they had made, the defense had made some arguments that the matter, certain aspects should be dealt with in the High Court first. The magistrate overruled that and said the actual extradition trial will commence on the 6th of January. That's next Tuesday. The defense, so Azruddin and his father, went to file an application to the High Court asking for a stay in that proceeding until certain constitutional matters are discussed. Right? Again, we're talking about labor time. That matter was already ordered in front of the acting Chief Justice. And the acting Chief Justice has indicated that he'll make a ruling on the 5th of January. So that is the day before the matter is set to commence in the High Court. If I were a betting man, I can bet big as to what that decision will be. And when I read Mr. Yassim's letter into these people, that reinforces my belief as to what that will be. Trust me. So the wicked set. The wicked set. Right? So let me understand what's going on. I think Guyana is not a real place. Guyana is not a real place. But we're going to come more again and deal with those every year issues. But right now, let me lighten up the thing, man. Earliest day, some earliest day tradition. Earliest day tradition. You know, let me say, the last day in the year, they call it in the US, they call it New Year's Eve. We know that's earliest day. New Year's Eve. This is a day where, first of all, when I was in the force, this is the day we all anxiously look forward to because promotions were usually made on this day. In the past, you used to get several times a year, but then it came to the point where earliest day, earliest night into the new morning, promotions are made by the Police Service Commission and by the Police Commissioner. Wonder what happened now? Because the president usurped the function of the Police Service Commission and the Commissioner of Police back in July of this year in the run election, and they promoted 2,800 and something people without any consideration for what the establishment requires. So that is why now you have sergeant who are drivers. Sergeant and Bobby driving the commander. I understand they got one West Demerara promoted from consul or from lance corporal to sergeant, and he was a driver. So he continues in that role as a driver. He was either a lance corporal or a constable, promoted straight to sergeant. And therefore, he continues to perform the functions as the sergeant. And in case, I know they're listening, they want to know is who? The man who's driving the deputy commander. Right? Man who's driving deputy commander, sergeant of police. So, you know, nothing now about establishment, what the establishment requires, and all them things. You gotta know. So we used to look forward to promotion at earliest night. We also look forward to the officers' mess ball earliest night. That used to be in my day. It's normally organized by the police officers' mess committee. And when I was the chairman of the police officers' mess committee, we had one of the more successful earliest night parties. That was a place where people wanted to go because it was large, it was spacious, good food, good drinks, good music, right? Security was guaranteed and so on, and people enjoyed themselves. And us officers look forward to going there, meeting with your colleague officers. You arrange table so you and your family and not the families, we sat and we interacted and we enjoyed ourselves because we had that type of closeness, that camaraderie. But now, even if they get functions, I understand that people go in because they're afraid if they don't go, they're going to say that you're against. And the atmosphere is not there. The atmosphere, so they go, and the first opportunity they get, they beat out and they gone away. So we used to have that. We used to look forward to that old year's night. And people from all over. Because initially, years ago, it was for the police officers and their family. And then as years went by, it was open to the members of the public. So members of the public will go there because they were guaranteed a good sport, security, and good camaraderie and so on, intermix and so on. But I know what's happening now. I don't know. I think the last time I went to one was 2018. Then I don't think there was any in 2019 because for some reason, I think James was the man then decide he ain't keeping Old Year's Night 2018. And by the time it come to 2020 with COVID and all them type of thing, we ain't get. But I understand it. We started some time ago, but I am being told that the atmosphere, people used to be there back in the day and can relate to that, say, it tend the same thing. So you used to go there, we used to have that, right? Some people, many will go to church, right? Well, yeah, but you know, people say you're served by trainees and so on. Yeah, the trainees will come and the trainees. Well, let me tell you, when I was the president of the mess there, the trainees are glad because we make sure they get a little something. They get a little stipend. Trainees can come. And that has been the tradition in the force. Now in the police force, other members of the joint services, when you have these functions, trainees will be decked out to come and to serve and so on. That used to be it. I never did that because I was not in training school during the Christmas period. I joined in March and left in September, left the training school in September. But yeah, that used to be it too. People go to church. Many people go to church. Many people want the new year to break them in church. So they go to church and they pray and so on. And some people say, not for them is one day Christian. They go to church Old Year's Night and then for the Sunday, but then they abuse out and cuss out all week. And they tell lies like some of them bishop all week, right? But their belief is that if you go to church and you pray on that one day, all your sins are forgiven. That is what they believe. I don't think so, but that is what they believe. So you go to church. We don't say church. You go to church, right? And you're there. You want the new year to break you in church. Even in the days of the police officers' mess function, some people will go to church, and then when the church finish, then they will go to the officers' mess ball. That is what many people will do. Parties, you get parties all around. Old Year's Night party, all these places like Pegasus and back in the day, Pegasus and all the Georgetown Club, all the clubs around the place. Big Old Year's Night sport, big Old Year's Night sport. That is the tradition. If you are in the US, a lot of people are in New York, but people go to the big ball drop, Times Square, where people gathered in the hundreds of thousands to be there when the ball drops at midnight. And here, let me tell you, they're telling me that New York cold now, freezing. But notwithstanding the temperature, I am sure when you look tonight, ABC or whatever channel, you're going to see hundreds of thousands of people who would have braved that cold just to be there when the ball drops at midnight, just to be there. And let me remind you, many parts of the world have already welcomed New Year, the new 2026. Many parts would have already welcomed 2026. And as somebody said, oh, you can forget your Old Year's cook-up, man. Or you can forget the traditional Old Year's cook-up. When I done with this program, I can start working on my own. And I want you to tell me, you students, what your cook-up will have in it, because I know most of you, if not all of you, will have your cook-up. Cook-up got to be in the pot for Old Year's night. That is a tradition. Some people say superstition, that the new year must break you, not only with food, but with cook-up rice in your pot. And I think they say that guarantees prosperity and so on, but not necessarily in Guyana. Guyana, people struggling. People are 58% poverty, below the poverty line. And then another 28, extreme poverty. So I don't know, but yeah, you cook up. And they say you cook up, got to get certain things. Peas. A lot of people believe in a black eye or any other peas, right? Now, Sean, I when I went to the police staff college back in 1994, I had a classmate. He from Vanuatu, one of them country way down there. He used to boast that they see New Year's first, the country that the sun rises in first. He said Vanuatu. I never follow it up to see if it is so, but he used to make that point that Vanuatu. Sean is saying that New Zealand, but I think even before New Zealand, Vanuatu, and they get, that is what my friend, I can't remember his name now, classmate used to say, right? So yeah, coming back to the cook-up, tripe. Somebody said tripe, got to get tripe, beef tripe in the cook-up. You got to get, I don't care what y'all say, you got to get pigtail. I know those who don't touch Arnold, not going to be thrilled with that part, but yes, Edward, got to get chicken foot. According to Cyril Langevin, the late Cyril Langevin from the TSU, he went into New River and then by cooking a little fowl foot. So they're showing the officers eat fowl foot. So they asked him, he said, sir, do you eat fowl foot? We don't say feet, fowl foot. He said, what's the matter with you? That's the foundation of the bird. You must have that. The foundation of the bird. So yeah, the fowl foot, little salt beef, yeah, pigtail, scrap, yes, coming good. Now, somebody said no chicken foot, but you know what you're missing. You know what you're missing. The chicken foot in the cook-up there and so on. And you get your tripe, and you get little, well, you don't get a little snout, little pig snout, right? In the cook-up. And here, let me tell you all this. And this is these modernized women who they're on this program. You got to grate your coconut. No coconut milk in no tin. You got to grate your coconut. And if you're skillful, it's going to bruise your finger. But don't tell me about no powder coconut milk and coconut milk in no tin. I got to sit down there with my grater and grate my coconut to make sure that me cook up rice. Grate coconut, grated coconut milk. You grate the coconut and get your milk. Right? Now, well, somebody said chicken neck and all that. And I ain't going to the neck and thing. All right, but the foot, chicken foot got to be there. And you make sure the rice steam properly. Oh, man. And then what has happened for the time the cook-up done? You're tempted to make a sample. You make a sample to see how good the cook-up work. And then what happened? Once the sample come, you satisfy yourself, you take a little drink, right? And you pray and you thank the Lord for allowing you to see the new year. You know, coming back to the days, and this is not just gaff, when we had a real Old Year's night ball at the police officers' miss. Day 10 got to party New Year's Day. So the regulars will go there like about between 10 and 11. And you got to make sure that at midnight you're on the dance floor with your partner, dancing in the New Year, because the band or the people who playing the music knew that at that time is breakaway music. Breakaway. You have to wind up your waist and say that you're glad to be in the New Year. And what used to happen then? Because with the police officers mess, you will party. After the New Year's break, you get your dinner. You sit and you get your nice dinner. And then in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock, you get breakfast. Larry Lewis will tell you saltfish and bake with garlic pork and pepper pot all the morning. Some people you never used to leave. You sit down there. I remember going 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, you're still there, the police officers music kicking, and you're enjoying yourself. 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it gotta be nice brown rice, Clarence. Nice brown rice, right? So all of those things, you gotta reminisce and be happy, right? I noted that I show what the blackout CC get, right? Let me see. I got in a message here. Let me see. I tried to contact CC, not here. Yeah. I got a student who's telling me, I said Vanuatu. There's a man claim, but he said actually the first country that sees the new year, the countries gotta be the call is spelled Kiribati, but it is pronounced Kiribati. Kiribati, pronounced Kiribati, and Samoa and Vanuatu. So then, it's Kiribati, Samoa, and Vanuatu. Well, my classmate used to boast that they seen it first, right? My classmate used to boast that they seen the new year first. So a student is telling me that the first actually is Kiribati, then Samoa, and then Vanuatu, right? So yeah, so you got to check this thing out, man. I got to check this out. Now let me say, yeah, there's Lanchi cheese and rice. The man was enough talk. I see Carlton no Lanchi. The Lanchi so always said cheese and rice, right? So that's what he's saying. Now, so you look forward to this the end of the year, the beginning of the new year. You make your resolutions. How many of you are going to make resolutions tonight? One of the most popular resolutions people tell you say to hit the gym and to lose some weight. That is a popular resolution, right? I am going to make my resolutions tonight. One of the resolutions I will make is to be more active in terms of physical fitness. I neglected the gym a lot this year. This 2025, I neglected the gym quite a lot, right? And I intend to correct that in the new year. Make sure I go to the gym. I make sure I bring myself into some type of physical fitness. That's important, especially you get to our age, especially when you get to our age, you got to make sure you stay fit. So I intend to get to the gym, start off with my little cardio, and then go into little strength and weight and thing later on. That is a promise that I am making to myself. Many years ago, one of the promises I made to myself was that I will endeavor to read at least one book every month. That's some years ago, and I succeeded in that. But then things happen and I fall out. So I am promising in the new year, I'm making a resolution to maybe even not one a month, to make sure I increase my reading. I read books. I'm talking about books. Read books, whether it's novel, whether it's any type of book, biographies, texts. I want to do that in the new year. And let me say this to this student that make the comment. Let me make this thing there. Me cook up rice and get cash rip, My no cash rip in my cook up. As a matter of fact, let me be honest with you. Until the president and them, they make some announcement about cash rip in cook up, I know that you just put cash rip in cook up. People have said, yeah, you put it for a little coloring and so on. I did not know that. I did not know that. So the cash rip would have been used to the pepper pot. And given the cost of living in Guyana, people would have used a little money and the little cash rip for the little pepper pot. So they got no cash rip for left for no cook up rice for all years night. So let me understand. No thing there. So I used to, I used to try and walk at least, and I had a route that will take me, it's about 6 miles, about 6 miles. Walk up a good sweat, right? And when I'm in the gym, I make sure I go for like an hour on the treadmill at what 5 miles per hour, 4.5 miles per hour, 1 hour, builds up the thing, and walk up a sweat, and then you go on the machines, and I have to do that in this coming year to get back in some type of shape. So that's one of the resolutions I have made. I got resolved to continue this expose, continue talking about corruption in the government, corruption in Guyana, right? I will continue to do that in the new year, because I told you before, this is the 138th episode for 2025, and the next program will be number 1. This is the 4th edition. The 5th edition will start on Friday, God's willing, when we come again here on the 2nd. And let me warn you too, we have a little some tweaks to do to the program in the new year. One of the things we decided we're going to do, we're going to standardize the gate, the time that the gate is going to be open. You know, right now we had started 7 o'clock, then we come down to 8, and then on Friday we do it at 2 o'clock, which is 2 hours before the class starts. We're going to make that uniform. So beginning on Friday, when we hope to get the next program, gates are, well, Friday is 2 o'clock. But when we come, the next program on the Monday is going to be 9 o'clock, 2 hours before the commencement of the live. And that's what we have 2 other tweaks to do as well. We are contemplating where we are exploring streaming on other platforms. Right now we stream on YouTube and Facebook. And we're trying to add at least one more platform coming sometime in the new year, so we can reach a wider audience. And this is because this is by demand. Yeah, people have been reaching out to me all the time. People have been reaching out to say how educational, how informative they have found this program. People, lawyers, people, respected people in society, encouraging us to continue and to tell me that, look, this thing should we should try to reach wider audience. And that is why we encourage you to subscribe to the channel, because that too gives ensures a wider coverage. I know a lot of people who are here as regulars, they have not subscribed on YouTube. Subscribe, follow the page on Facebook, and that allows for the broadcast to be extended. It allows, the algorithms will kick in, more people will get to see and hear what is going on. So yeah, those are some of the things that we want to do in the new year. And as I said, we have to pray that these corrupt people, oh Lord, CC said they need divine intervention. We got to pray, right? That the good Lord intervenes, man. Oh Lord, the thing said we can't take it no more, man. We can't take it no more, right? Look, when you see the level of corruption, they themselves in a very subtle way admitting that there is corruption. When the president telling you about people bypassing the system for get driver's license, it's corruption he's talking about. But they don't want to use the word corruption. Nadir, during the last parliament, banned the word corruption from parliament. I know if they're going to get back to the next parliament, when that is going to be, maybe the ban will be continued. They don't want to hear the truth. You get a place like Guyana where in every facet you turn, you have corruption. Look, we haven't dealt with this yet. Last week we learned GRA officers arrested by the police. We're going to deal with that on Friday, because I see some statements made there which I really don't understand. Right? Arrested because they're investigating massive corruption. We have seen the articles carried by HGP News about a particular company that is alleged to be switching VIN numbers and all them type. But it is corruption. And then the company come to say they pay how much $1 million in taxes. What I mean, let me assume that you pay, let me say $200 million in taxes. Does that absolve you from being corrupt? Because maybe 1 billion due. Maybe 1 billion was due. And you only pay a fraction of that. So you're still corrupt. The sad part, as I said with all these things, the sad part is that no credible investigation is done when these allegations are made. Gail Teixeira, the Minister of Parliamentary Affairs and Governance, went to the United Nations to represent Guyana. And when she was asked about the allegation of corruption leveled against the Vice President in the Vice News expose, she said that the police can't investigate because no report was made to the police. Imagine that. That is what the Minister of Governance and Parliamentary Affairs said. Oh, we can't investigate because nobody had reported to the police. Nandalal recently went to, I think it's the same thing, right? I'm talking about corruption and that. We can deal with all them things. I ain't allowing them things to pass by because, as I've said, 4 years ago on the 22nd of December 2021, this program started with the same name, Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. I was alone, standing on the mountaintop and shouting about corruption. And they used to say, oh, you ain't got nothing more corruption. They ain't got nothing. Now, all of a sudden, international organizations and other bodies are talking about corruption. I saw a letter. You can't deal with it today. Can't deal with it. Man wrote, well, that letter is a post, right? Let me read just the first part. It said, I care not if it's my brother or my sister, if it's my friend or my family, if it's the government or opposition, it has to be said. The largest albatross around Guyana's neck is corruption. I can go into it on the next. The largest albatross around Guyana's neck is corruption. Then it goes on to say, we cannot advance a nation and move from third world to first world unless it is fixed. So all them road you're building, all them things you say you're doing, you got to fix the corruption. But how are you going to fix the corruption when you yourself are the ones who are corrupt? That is the question to be answered. All the people that look, you get some allegations made. Junior Bosch, I will always come back to that. That man sat there in an interview and gave a description of the level of corruption. He called name. He called the president name. He called a minister name. He called minister family name. And what has happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing that we are aware of. And you believe that those international organizations, you believe the governments and all, then hear that, then see that, then file it away. Those things are there. They're not going to die. They are there in the records. Maybe they're going to use them for leverage. Who knows? Maybe it will be used for leverage. No one knows, right? But we have it. It is serious. And we will continue to talk about it. We will continue, right? And I know that it is making an impact, perhaps not as significant as we would like to see, but when you see certain actions being taken, you know because we there in the tail. For example, the same driver's license thing that the president talked about. You know, now we talking about it. You get a situation where people taking theoretical examination. I just get a figure. More people passing than those who took the exam. So if you have 100 persons took the exam, the thing showing 150, 200 pass. It's corruption. It is corruption. We talk about the corruption in the issuing of gun license. We ain't addressing that yet. We talk about corruption with this old tint thing. I see the minister came out. We can deal with that at some other time about how they're bringing regulation in now to deal with tint and corruption in the system. There is massive corruption, almost in every single ministry. During the course of this year, we revealed where they had run-ins with cleaning of vehicles, cleaning of vehicles. Y'all remember that? Where one vehicle every other month going for detailing and 100 and something thousand. That's some fantastic money for wash and detail a vehicle. Fantastic sums. Batteries. A battery for a vehicle run into $100,000 for change a battery on a vehicle. Tires and all these type of things. There's a lot of corruption in the system, and we will continue to highlight it. We will continue to highlight it. And I say this as I try to close because I see CC coming back in. I sure he get blackout and gone. Let me see if I get him. Hold on, let me see if I get him because I really wanted to end the. I sure you will have a end the year message for you guys, man. And I'm feeling nice to know that we can end this program this year, and my partner ain't gonna get an opportunity to hold on, let me see. Y'all be with me one moment. I really want to get CC. Hey, where's the story? I was able to contact Mr. Conway. Apparently, he has some serious technical issues, and he was thrown out of the studio. He tried to get back in, can get back in, and so on. So, yeah, even the issue with our corruption, the same Lamborghini issue, what are them talking about now? The question is always asked: how was this vehicle cleared? How they cleared the vehicle? You believe there wasn't collusion? Nasruddin alleged that the president was involved in it from the get-go, in the clearance and all this type of thing. From the get-go, that's what you allege. Have they investigated that? No. Everything bad now is Nasruddin. He's the only corrupt one. Other names have been called, have been linked to gold smuggling. Junior Bash linked other companies with this link to Venezuela, and they outline the entire process of the gold smuggling. They ain't interested in that. They're only interested in Nasruddin Mohammed. They're only interested in that, right? And as we said, all the time passed, there's no parliament. Mansour Nadir, the speaker, who is required by the Constitution of Guyana, Article 184, to call a meeting of the members of the opposition to elect a opposition leader. He ain't doing that. And what are they saying? I know if you were to ask the Attorney General, you say, oh, that is not the government, that is the speaker. That is what they're going to tell you. That is the responsibility according to they're going to quote the Constitution and all sort of thing and tell you that is the responsibility of the speaker, and we don't direct the speaker what to do. That is what they are going to say. But we all know different. We big, but we ain't stupid. We big. We know this all has to do with the whole process of extradition and all that. Because as we didn't say there, that even the writer's article, the sanction, the extradition, they're all linked. And I believe that. They're all linked. You can't view these things in isolation. And the thing that showed the thing a while is when they decided that they were going to arrest Nasruddin on the last day before Parliament was to be convened, that's the 31st of October. And the new Parliament convened on the 1st, which was the first working day. So they carried to court on the 31st, expecting for him to be remanded. They expected the assessor. They said that they expected for him to be remanded. So if he had been remanded, then he would not have been sworn in as a member of Parliament. And if you aren't sworn in as a member of Parliament, then you can't be elected as the leader of the opposition. That was the plan, but the thing backfired. The thing backfired when the magistrate granted bail. The thing backfired when the magistrate granted bail. But let me see how that will work out now. Because based on what we understand, let me say this. I'm entitled to my view, right? I'm entitled to my view. And my view is that when the matter comes up before the acting Chief Justice on the 5th of January, this Monday coming, right? The application will fail. And the matter is going to be, the trial will commence on the 6th of the next day, right? The Chief Justice is going to rule, that is my belief, that the trial extradition proceeding should continue or should commence on the 6th of January, right? And let me say this. When you read the letter that Mr. Juman Yassin wrote in today's paper, you can understand where I'm coming from. Because the man said the wicked set. He didn't say it in that words. He's implying that the wicked is set. The wicked is set. Now, as I promised, let me pray again as we come to the end of today's program, the last program for the year. Let me pray again, and then I'm going to give you a look forward.
Good morning, Lord. Today is Wednesday, December 31st, the last day of this year. Reaching this point is already an answer. Not everything was easy. Not everything turned out the way I imagined. There were days of waiting, days of unanswered questions, days when simply continuing was an act of faith. And even so, I am still here, standing, because you have sustained me all the way here. On this last day of the year, I do not come to ask. I come to give thanks. To give thanks for everything that passed without destroying me, for every door that closed to protect me, and for everything that kept me standing. I place into your hands everything this year carried, the joys, the lessons, the struggles that taught me to grow, the dreams that were fulfilled and the ones that are still being prepared. May nothing heavy from this year cross into the new season. May I enter the coming year with a clean heart, a focused mind, and renewed faith. Guide my next steps, guard my heart, and remain with me, just as you remained with me through every day that has passed. I trust what is ending, I trust what is beginning, and I rest in the certainty that you are still in control. In Jesus' name, amen. If this prayer spoke to your heart, like, comment.
He is in control of everything. He is in control of everything. And that is what we must always remember, right? That is what we must remember, that God is in charge of everything. Man can appoint, God will disappoint, right? Put our faith and our trust in him, and he's going to see us through. And again, we have to give thanks to have made it this far, and he will lay a path for us as we proceed forward. Folks, again, let me close by saying to you, I thank you for all your support during this year, 2025. I look forward for your support in the coming new year. I want to, as I will always do, as I leave, to tell you to be extremely, extremely careful. You know, Old Year's night, a lot of people will be imbibing, and therefore you have got to look out for yourself, look out for others, right? Unfortunately, CC didn't get to be here at the end to give you his wishes. And on his behalf, and on my own behalf, I wish you all the best for the new year. All the best. And be safe. Be safe. And as I've said, make sure that you do what you do not overdo. So until we meet, we have scheduled to meet on Friday. Friday will be the second day of the new year. And until we meet then, take care. Be well. Bye.